Top of the morning. Welcome to Just a Point of View. Got an interesting topic this morning dealing with several dynamics, and that is, there's three things in this world that I have concluded that will have you insane, crazy, straight tripping. One, religion. Two, politics. And three, the agreement that a lot of people have with their culture or hood. Now, religion is on the top of the list because, I think a lot of times that people mean well when they expressing their religious or their way of life, lifestyles to others in their presentation, yet a lot of people are intolerant or not tolerant of other people's choice to choose to pray, operate, acknowledge a higher being, or not to acknowledge a being beyond us. Me, myself, I have concluded and I'm confident there is a being beyond us. Yet I'm not in favor of the way that these systems actually push their agenda in the 21st century. It's prehistoric, and it's really offensive to a lot of people. And I'm like, if I agree with your system or not, as far as it being for me, I'll listen and I'll reason, and I will take that which is beneficial from what I have learned from you sharing with me. But I'm not going to try to force, the path that I'm taking on that's working for me on you. But that's what a lot of people do. They end up slandering other people's systems. I mean, it's a thin line because, if you're telling the truth about, the dynamics and the operation of a system that you may not be able to comprehend or don't make logical sense, that's understandable. But when you get to, criticizing and talking sideways about these systems, that means that you not even have a particular growth in your system. That's just something to think about. That's number one. Religion drive you crazy, have you on your head upside down if you're not properly trained in, embracing it correctly. Number two, politics. Politics is one of the wickedest things on this planet. That's from my perspective, because I'm not a real into politics, and I can't get into it because it deals with so much lies and falsehoods and manipulation and deception. It's just a criminal act against spiritual beings, the way that it's in function. The practical policies or the operation that supposed to be thereof, it's okay, but it's when the men and the women get into these positions and make these agreements to oppress and suppress and manipulate the masses, to lie, connive, and cheat, hustle in a sense, the masses, and continuously promises that they know that they can't keep, they don't intend to keep. It's so they just hustling, and it's very dissatisfying to listen to people that actually have 100% belief system in these politicians, musicians, magicians, witches, sorcerers, and so forth and so on Capitol Hill and other prominent places of government throughout the United States. And what I realized is that some people, they put these politics in front of their spiritual belief. They say, well, you know what? I'm this particular belief system and this and this and this, but you know what? My politics says to go this way, and they will go the way the politics going and disregard their spiritual belief system. It's the Democrats and the Republicans, in various matters. And just recently, one of the things was, or continuous things with the Democrats is their support of abortion, so forth and so on. People say this is not morally correct through any spiritual system. But the Democrats said, you know what, we're going to be liberal. We're going to be super liberal, and we're going to go forth. And then we got the Republicans. They know daggone well that Donald J. Trump was a shyster, one of the worst presidents ever. And now, even not being the president anymore, he have these puppets on the strings, and they are afraid of him. They fear Donald Trump more than they fear the creator, because they have made alliances with falsehoods and lies. But I'm going to leave that right there. That's just my point of view. And then the plague of the hood, or the culture, the lies that have been agreed upon in the hood, in the cultures, the fantasies that we have brought from the television, from the music, from the movie theaters, and perpetuate them in our lives and become these characters that don't know who we are. And one of the reasons that we don't know who we are, because from very young age we have been groomed and programmed through the frequencies of broadcasting types of systems, may it be the radio or the television, so forth and so on. And the worst thing about it is that many of our parents haven't become aware or awakened to the point to be able to say, you know what, you watching that, but this is what's going on. Why? They killing people. You seeing that all on the TV, but that's not a glorified type of thing. And matter of fact, when you kill somebody, you're killing a part of yourself. Certain lessons are not being perpetuated in the home to stop the distortion of the activity of these young spiritual beings being released into the savage wilderness here in North America, and being cultivated in the mind with the sickness and the perversion of many people that are making these movies and this music and these theatricals, and making these lies about what have transpired to get to where we at today. His story, straight lies, lies agreed upon. A quote from Napoleon Bonaparte. But in the hood, it is so bad. We think that that's a culture. It's a subculture. It's a subculture when we out here contributing the destruction of our men and our women and the children. It's a subculture when our primary language is a profane, perverse way of speaking. It's a subculture when our women are looking like whores every day, just as a regular makeup of themselves, or because they're dissatisfied who they are on the regular playing field. They don't love themselves, so they go around, and some of these women may not even be whores, but they dress whores. So what they make men think that they whores, and the men, deadbeat dudes, sorry dudes, as far as not being responsible, not being a father figure in their children's lives, not being supportive, and not supportive financially to these kids that they bring in this world, not being supportive by being in their life and telling these kids, I love you, son, I love you, daughter. I talked to one of my men the other day. He said, you're an older gentleman. He said, you know what, I can never remember my father telling me that he loved me. And I thought about that as well. I know my father loved me, but I can't remember him telling me that. So I tell my kids, my children, all the time, I love you, I love you, I love you, my sons and my daughters. See what I'm saying? And I'm just saying this is that in our culture agreement, we messed up, man. And we need to get this falsified, westernized culture back. When you look at it, who were the original gangsters? It wasn't no so-called black men. Who were the original murderers and kidnappers and thieves? This go all the way back to slavery. And not saying that in cultures before slavery that this didn't go, this wasn't a part of it, but what is learned here in the United States is a reflection of the slave master and the slave master's children. Y'all need to think about that. Who are you? Why are you here? What is your purpose? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with that, because I'm at the point of, come to the conclusion of this video. And, once again, this topic of today was, 3 things that have you on your head in this society. Religions, politics, cultural agreements of the hood need to be investigated and terminated where it applies. because there is some good in all those situations. But we have taken the malt liquor, the intoxication part of it, the trash of it, and made it look good. But it's not. Peace, love, and grace and goodwill to all mankind.